Castlevania Dominus Collection, released August 27th of 2024. Available on all modern platforms, retailing for $24.99. The Castlevania Dominus Collection contains 5 games, those being the 3 Castlevanias released on the Nintendo DS, Dawn of Sorrow, Portrait of Ruin, and Order of Ecclesia. In addition, it contains the arcade game, Haunted Castle, and new for this collection, Haunted Castle Revisited. Though really, you're buying this collection for the 3 DS Castlevania games, as really we've been waiting for those ever since the Castlevania Advance collection came out. These 3 games, having originally been made for a system with 2 screens, have several options available to you for how you want them displayed. Personally, I preferred the option that displays everything all at once. There were parts of these games that required the touching of the screen. In this collection, that's now handled with the right analog stick, with the right trigger serving as a signal that you're actually touching with the stylus. Though, for Dawn of Sorrows, you thankfully don't have to rely on your right analog stick for drawing seals. Instead, the seal drawing mechanic is replaced by you doing combinations of button presses. This fact alone makes Dawn of Sorrows far preferable in this collection to on original hardware. Portrait of Ruin and Order of Ecclesia had far less interactions with the touchscreen and are widely unchanged here. As for Haunted Castle and Haunted Castle Revisited, well, Haunted Castle was an attempt to bring Castlevania to the arcade, which is a horribly flawed concept from its very inception. The revisited version is a vast improvement over the original, being far more playable than the original version, to say the very least. And the two make for an interesting pair, as Haunted Castle was a very loose interpretation of the Castlevania formula, and Haunted Castle Revisited is a very loose interpretation of Haunted Castle. It's certainly nice to have these games here, but I don't think anyone is buying this collection for the sake of these 2 games. Of course, in addition to these 5 games, you have galleries and soundtracks for all of the games. And like with all of these features in every collection, you'll look at this stuff and listen to it once, and never touch it again. Really, what's going to drive you to this collection is a desire for the DS Castlevania games. Dawn of Sorrow being a direct sequel to Aria of Sorrow, it follows the same character and uses the same mechanics. You're again capturing the abilities of enemies, and trying to prevent the resurrection of Dracula, as apparently you weren't the only candidate available. Portrait of Ruin, which is a sequel to Bloodlines from the Genesis. You actually have 2 characters in this game. You can switch between them at any time, and even have both on screen at once. This game actually takes a page out of Mario 64, as you travel into paintings to see new worlds. You also have quests handed to you to complete throughout the game. Order of Ecclesia does things very differently from earlier Castlevanias. For one, you're not just in Dracula's castle. You go to a number of different areas throughout the game. You don't actually have weapons. Instead, you get glyphs that give you abilities that use your MP. Some of these glyphs are dropped by enemies, some of them you absorb while enemies are casting them themselves. It's the most different, and most difficult, of the Castlevanias from the DS. So is Castlevania Dominus Collection worth your time and money? Well, obviously yes. Any one of the DS Castlevania games would easily be worth the $25 price tag. Even more so when you consider how hard it is to actually find the cartridges for them for the DS. And as stated previously, Dawn of Sorrow is actually far preferable in this collection, just to not having to draw the seals for every boss. The original Haunted Castle is almost completely pointless here, but the revisited version does provide some mild entertainment. So yes, I do absolutely recommend that you spend the full $25 for the Castlevania Dominus Collection. It's a fine companion piece to the Advance collection, but this collection does still leave us with the question of when exactly will they re-release Symphony of the Night for the Switch and PC. please do subscribe, comment, like, and tell your friends.